Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I am doing a 5-star prediction follow-up. So far I have made 2 5-star prediction videos and I am here to tell you which books from those 2 videos I have read so far and whether or not they were actually 5 stars. But before I do that, I want to quickly unbox my April Sips by box. The first tea that I have here is called Peachy Keen Oolong by Still. I've never heard of this company, but I do like peach tea, so hopefully this one will be good, and it's loose leaf, and we know I love that. The next tea that I have is called Vanilla Bliss by Tea Kitten. If you remember, I have had this company before, I believe twice, and I did enjoy the 2 teas that I had, although for one of them I didn't think the flavor was as strong as it could be, but I do really like vanilla, so hopefully I enjoy this one too. The next tea that I have is Lavender Earl Grey by White Tea Company. Haven't heard of this company, but I really enjoy Lavender Earl Greys and I've been getting a lot of those lately, so hopefully this is another good one. And it's loose leaf, so I think I'll enjoy this one. The last tea that I have is Chai Spice by Ahmad Tea. So if you've seen me unbox previous boxes, then you know that I have had Ahmad Tea a few times. Sometimes it's okay. However, the last few teas that I had, one was passion fruit and I think one was apricot or something, and I didn't really feel like the fruit flavor was there, but I do like chai, so hopefully I enjoy this one. So those are all of the teas that I got in April. If you're ever curious about how I feel about these teas, I do have a highlight of all of them on my Instagram page, and that will be linked in the description below as always. The first book that I predicted would be 5 stars is The Poppy War. I rated this 4.75 stars, so technically yes, I was right. The only reason that I didn't give it a full 5 stars is because there were some characters that I didn't love, some decisions that were made that I didn't necessarily agree with. However, we're talking about teenagers being thrown into the middle of a war, so it was understandable and I still really enjoyed it. So I'm really interested in continuing this series and seeing how it ends. The next book that I predicted would be a 5-star read is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, and it absolutely was. It was so good. This book made me cry. Haven't read a book that's made me cry in a really long time. And overall, it was just a really good experience. There were some things about it that I didn't necessarily love. However, it is a YA contemporary, so have to keep the age group in mind. The next book, and the one that I finished most recently, is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. So I did not rate this 5 stars. I literally just finished reading this last night at the time of filming. So I'm leaning in between a 3.5 and a 3.75 for my rating. And I don't necessarily think it's at the fault of the book. I didn't mind the second person narration. I liked most of what was going on, but the beginning was a little slow for me and a little hard to get into, but world building has to be taken into consideration there. I believe it's classified as high fantasy, which would make it my first time reading high fantasy. So I don't think it's at the fault of the book. I think if I read this again, I would probably rate it a little higher. I think at the end, I just really had a lot of questions. So after I finish this trilogy, I may need to go back and reread this one. The next book on my list is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I do also have a full review of this on my channel, so that will be linked. Unfortunately, I only rated this 2 stars. It did not live up to the expectations that I had, but more importantly, I felt like there were just a lot of racist moments that occurred that were never called out, and literally the main character just lets everything slide. And so I was hoping that at the end she would start sticking up for herself, and she just never did. So I honestly got to the end and I was like, what was the point of this? This was a waste of time. Next is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I did enjoy this. However, I think the reason that I didn't rate it 5 stars is because I just didn't feel connected to any of the characters. I genuinely did not give a fuck about any of them, except one of the side characters. That's it. The main characters, the twins, their families, I just didn't care. And so I only rated this 3.5. The next book on this list is Girls of Paper and Fire. I have a full review of this too, and let me just say, I ended up giving this a 3.25, and the biggest reason for it was the epilogue. It ruined it for me. Because the one thing that I wanted to happen happened until the very end, like literally the last page. And I know that it's a trilogy, so more has to happen, but I don't feel like the event that happened needed to be the catalyst for more, if that makes sense. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. I will be continuing this series though. I have book 2 already and hopefully I'll get to it soon. I might wait though because I think book 3 comes out in November, so we'll see. The last book on this list for today is probably the most disappointing. King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. If you tuned into the live show that I hosted with Dasha and Robin, then you know all of my feelings about this book. But if you weren't able to make it, I expected to get Nikolai 24/7, especially because this had previously been marketed as the Nikolai duology. If you look at Goodreads now, it no longer says that, it just says King Scars duology. And I think that change was probably necessary because we did not get nearly as much of Nikolai as I would have liked. We do follow him as well as Zoya and Nina. I didn't enjoy Nina's storyline for the first quarter of the book, and surprisingly, I ended up liking Zoya. But there is a twist in this that I fucking hated. It was so confusing because literally everything is fine, everything makes sense, and then all of a sudden the most random shit happens. And then you get to the very end, literally the last fucking page, and you're like, what the fuck was that? So unfortunately, I rated this 2.75. So those are all of the books that I have read so far that I thought would be 5 stars. Apparently, I suck at predicting 5-star reads. This is about half of all of the books that I have predicted would be 5 stars. I have, let's see, I have 6 more that I still need to get to, so hopefully I'll do that soon. So let me know if you've read any of these, if you enjoyed them, and if you predicted that they would be 5 stars and if they actually were. Also, I made a TikTok, so follow me if you're on TikTok. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.